Right, hello, and here I am again. I'm back. I'm going to try doing another video. This time I seem to have sorted out the computer end of it. I managed to upload last night, so I'll give it another go today. I'm doing a watercolour tonight, and the only reason this might not end up on YouTube is because whereas when I sit down to do an oil, I'm more or less convinced that it will work. When I do a watercolour, it's very chancy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do a picture of. I hope you can see it. It's a backlit photograph. It's the Clywedog Gorge just up the road, and what I like is all the yellows. There's actually no sky, so we'll see how that works when I come to do it. Now I'm going to talk about stuff for a minute. I'm a bit of a gear junkie. And some people say, what brushes do you use? So here's the answer. Sometimes I use Hakes. These are big Japanese pony hair or goat hair brushes. You can get all sorts of different makes. I swear by Pro Art Ron Ransom ones because they're lovely. That one is, I think, my new one, which is about 15 years old. No, that's my old one. This is my new one, which is about 15 years old. That one's about 17. That one's also the middle one, that's 17 years old. No idea how old that one is. It's a small 1-inch one, but it's got the old, I think they stopped doing those in the 90s, so that's got to be 20 odd years old. But it's still soft, still works. They still hold, they're big brushes, but they do hold very sharp edges. Just mould it. I've just dunked it in water, and it still comes, where are you there? It still comes to a sharp chisel point, which you can use quite well. So say it's 20 odd years old, that brush. They never owe you anything. Hakes I sometimes use. I also, my favourite brushes to work with are these jet brushes, which are also very, very old, but they are squirrel and synthetic mix, and they are, I think these are wonderful brushes. They're made by Stratford and York, who was supposed to make the best brushes in the world, but they've gone out of business. There's similar ones you can get, which I have one of. That one, they're similar, and they are silver black lemon, black velvet. I'm not sure who makes them. I'm trying to see, but anyway, that's a modern version. Squirrel hair, and so I've got that one, a bigger one, little one, the bigger one. That is just a squirrel mop, handy for laying in big washes. That's a big squirrel mop, looks a bit like a makeup brush till you wet it. Then you can shape it to a point-ish. Somewhere, oh, I've got a dagger, sword liner, and 2 large and small squirrel mops or varnish brushes. I use those very much. The ones I use most, oh, and there's the 1/2 inch flat. The ones I used most are those. That's what I'll probably do most of this picture with. That's the Jets, the little 1/2 inch flat, and I rarely use the sword liner. My latest lot of brushes I really like. Oh, that's another one of them that I use with this. These are my latest ones. They're Escoda Ultima, and they are, I'll be quite honest, I watched Robert Mee using these brushes and I think they're great. I loved what he could do with them. So I thought I'd get some. They don't make me a better painter though. I'm still not as good as he is, but I've got a 16, don't know what that one is, an 8, and that's a 12 I think. But big, medium and large, they're pointy but you can do all sorts with them. And I also use a rigger with that set. These I use a lot as well. They're my SAA Pretend Sable brushes. I got these because I think last year or the year before they had a massive sale on them and they were dead cheap, but they are very, very good brushes. Imitation sable, they work like sable and they cost a fraction of the price. I've got lots of them. The ones I use most of all, that one, and that one, and the rigger. They're the ones I used mainly of those. The rest I got because they were there. Just dropped something on the floor, but never mind. Anyway, those are basically the brushes I use. I'll put the Pretend Sables out the way. I'll use those, possibly those. No, I'll stick to these. Okay, paint. I'll bring my palette into the middle. This is my sort of general purpose palette. I've got some which I keep set out as limited for doing. There's very often I really limit myself to Ron Ranson. I use a trade with just his 7 colours. But I sometimes don't like to limit myself. Just soggying that up. That's a technical term, by the way, soggying up. So I'll go through the colours in this. Most of the colours on this side are Winsor & Newton Cotman. Wonderful paints, don't break the bank, and they're as good as anything else. Now, this end is basically my Ron Ranson bit. I've got lemon yellow, raw sienna, burnt umber, light red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and Payne's grey, which is up here for a reason, because that overlaps with my Charles Evans lot, which are the alizarin, the light reds in both. No, it isn't. The alizarin's in both, the ultramarines in both. Charlie uses yellow ochre instead of raw sienna, and I do sometimes. I don't limit myself as strictly as some people. That is burnt sienna, that is raw umber, that's hooker's green, and that is Charles Evans Sand, which is a very useful colour, but you can only buy it from Charlie. On this side they're mainly professional ones. That is Quintazone Gold, that is Cobalt Blue, that is Olive Green, which I use very rarely. That is thingy blue, Monestial Blue, Windsor Blue, whatever it's called. That is Cerulean Blue, that is Dioxazine Purple, that is Caput Mortem, which is a lovely purpley brown. That is Pyrrole Red, which is the purest red you can get. That is Transparent Orange. That, I'm not sure what that is, it's very bright orange. That's Aurelian, and that is Cadmium. Can't remember what that one is, never mind. And I'll remember that one in a minute. Right, but anyway, most of the time I just use the ones on this side. That's if I need a really glaring colour. Right, okay, back to my painting. Move stuff round. Use my big flat brush. Clean water. Well, cleanish water. The board's at about 15-20 degrees. I'll do a video about my setup because I'm really pleased with the way I've got my studio set up now. Lots and lots of water. The paper I'm using is Saunders Waterford £140 rough. I almost always use rough paper because I like the surface. I like the fact that you can drag paint across it to give you texture. I use hot pressed sometimes when I'm doing line and wash, or I'll use anything that's not rough when I'm doing line and wash. Gosh, this is getting boring. Right, where's my picture? There. Right. Trying to mop up the very bottom of this because I don't want it to go right the way down. I'll drag a bit down there, but right, okay, now like I said, there is no actual sky in this. So what I'm going to try and do, I may or may not, it may or may not work, but I'm going to try and just do a very wet in wet. Background wash. I just recharged this, but it's hot in here and it's dried out again already. So this is lemon yellow, if you were paying attention before. There we go, lots of lemon yellow, lots of water, even though there's already lots of water there. Mop up my bottom. Okay, into that put a tiny touch of ultramarine, which gives us that hot lemony colour. I need some more paint in it. It needs to be very runny, but quite thick. Well, not thick, very runny, but quite powerful. A lot of colour in it. Now for this light bit in the middle, I'm just going to bring it in with clear water. Now I also want some of this to come forward. Okay, now we've got that. It's still wet. I know it's going to stay wet for ages because I've put lots of water in both the paper and the wash. Now what I need to do is to make some darker greens. I'll use the raw sienna. Raw sienna is technically an earth colour, but it's very yellow. Into that, more blue, so we've got a duller bluey colour. I'll put a bit of the lemon into it as well. Just softening some of these edges up. Just on that side there's lots of darker trees, but this is almost all light coming through the branches, so this is where the purists among you will hold up your hands in horror, because I'm going to mix Hooker's Green. Hooker's Green is a horrible colour on its own, but if you mix it with other colours you get a huge range of greens. Where I always go wrong with this sort of painting is that I fiddle. I'm a terrible fiddler, and that's what spoils it. The difficulty is with this loose sort of painting is to let the paint do the work. All I'm doing is putting wet paint into wet paint. Mixing a little bit darker as I get towards the edges of the gorge. On this side, there's a heavy dark bank which I'll make with the umber. see, that's hooker's green and burnt umber, and that comes into a beautiful rich dark green. So I'm going to do that. And the same on this side, low down. Sorry about the noise, there's an idiot lives up the road who likes to, even though it's middle of the evening, likes to charge up and down the road on a motorcycle. Right. Put some more blue into that, mixing it, just a few more wet bits. Right, while it's still wet, mix some more of the umber into that. I want this with a lot less water in it, because what I'm going to do is put in some far away tree trunks. I want them to blur. When it's dried out a bit more, I'll put in more detailed ones, but these I want to fade away into that glow. Okay, now I'll reveal one of the secrets of my board. It's hinged down here, so if I've got lots of water on it like that, I can do that. And the washes run down. Now, you don't particularly want to sit there for half an hour watching paint dry, so I'll pause the video and let it dry. Right, there we go. It's touch dry now, so time to go on to the next bits. That is all wet in wet, and what I'll do, if I can, I'll zoom in a bit. Now hopefully you'll be able to see how diffuse that's all gone. All the colours run into each other. Take it back out without knocking the tripod over. That's about right. And now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start coming forward now, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put those away, and I'm going to use my what you call it, brushes, these pointy ones. I really like these. Escoda. They're Spanish. Sound Spanish, don't they? Anyway, I'm going to put in, if you can still see, there's lots of trees going up. I'm going to start coming forward and put harder bits in, which is why I'm going to go in with the pointy brushes. At one time in my watercolour journey, I would have done the whole thing with hakes and that, but I'm not that good, so I do what I do with what I've got, if that makes sense. Okay, some tree trunky colour, ultramarine, burnt umber, and a touch of that green mix there. This will still dry a bit lighter. I do like these brushes, they're very easy to draw with. What I'm using, this is what Ron Ranson used to call palette filth, and it's the stuff that runs down. It's sort of manky grey colour, and it's all the colours you've mixed on your palette, but it makes a lovely neutral grey colour all by its own little self without you having to do a thing. Right, I want these very pale. just not quite putting them in randomly, but I'm not drawing individual trees. I'm just putting vertical lines against all this bright colour. Right, okay, got that. Now I want to put these dark banks in. Again, the burnt umber, and to bring it forward I'll use some alizarin crimson, plenty of water, and some of the blue. If you mix ultramarine and burnt umber you get almost black on its own, so what I'm doing is adding the red to warm it up a bit. Now here need some of that green. Now back there, that goes round a bend. I know that because I know this so well. So a hooker's green into that umber, lots of water, keep it nice and see-through. It's a lovely walk along this gorge. Up there there's a big waterfall, and this is our little local river, the Clywedog, which is in the height of summer she's just a trickly little stream. This time of year when you've had snow up on the moors, she's a savage little bugger. Several people have drowned in our little stream over the years. But what a lot of people don't know, even a lot of local people don't know, is that the waterfall's up that end. She comes down off the moors, and down behind us is Bersham Ironworks, which was one of the first and most important ironworks in the history of the UK. But because it's in Wales, nobody knows about it. They're more interested in Iron Bridge. But this little river here provided the power for all the cannon and cannonballs at the Battle of Waterloo. And without our little Clywedog, we might all be talking French now. Right, we've got the banks coming in now. Put in some stronger bits of leaf. The raw sienna. Touch of the yellow. Add the ultramarine. That gives us a completely different colour green to all the others. It's almost khaki. So I'll put a little bit of that in it because it's quicker. There, that's more a leafy colour. And what I'm going to try and do now is put a broken wash over all of this, which is just too wet. I'm using the side of the brush, just dragging it along to leave. I'm using the weave of the paper so that I'm only catching the top bits, the peaks, and the troughs are staying the same colour they were. Now this is where some people say, oh, I haven't mixed enough of that colour. No two leaves are the same colour, so it doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same colour. As long as it's similar, you'll get away with it. Just wondered whether my head was obscuring everything then. Now I'm changing the direction slightly because I'm trying to get the impression of tree shapes. going to use the big bugger. Mainly because I want some bigger shapes. And the snag with using a big brush like this is it uses a hell of a lot of water. So you have to be a little bit careful when it comes to drying it out. Now don't fiddle on this side now. I need to put some deep trees. Use this one. I mean dark trees. Okay, use the dark, burnt umber, bit of blue, bit of alizarin, a bit more alizarin. Actually, I'll put a bit of Payne's grey, really darken it. Now I want these big trees, which are quite well defined. Now, a few lighter ones, and right on this corner there's a sticky out one. And these brushes are a good indicator I'll be quite honest, the way I'm putting these trees in now, it is the brushes, not me. They're beautiful to use. Right, that's got that side in. Over here, I'm just mixing a new dark. For this side. Just putting these dark shapes in. It's very rocky. There, got that in, and the reason I want to know, I need to take it in a bit further. I don't know if I'm standing in the way. I'm trying to get a bit of credit card out. Bit of rocky bit there. Now put this huge big gnarly tree, a light red in it. Just dampen the edge of that to make it flow a little bit better. want very peely wally colour for going in the middle. Right, we've got that. We're nearly there now. What I'm going to do now is the actual river itself. And I've got that greeny bit going down the middle. I'll reinforce that a little bit more. Now, I'm also going to put, it's a very peaty little river, so I'm going to mix some of the light red, the raw sienna, because it's a river. You paint it most of the time, unless you're doing reflections. If you do it horizontal, it will look fairly natural. I use the flat brush just because it's quicker. Right. Okay, now stick your fingers in your ears because I'm going to dry this bit. I don't mind if it dries hard because I'm going over most of it. So turn your sound off now. There. I let the top half dry because I wanted it to go into that mergy way. This is going to go wet on dry, so I don't mind it having hard edges because I'm going to cover them up. Now what I'm going to do next is this watery bit. I'm going to use the light red and the burnt umber and the hooker's green. Now, the further away I go, the lighter the darks get, if you see what I mean. Now I'm going to go start using the dark bit. Use the 1/2 inch flat. Now, all along either side of this very yellow bit we have greeny sort of bit. Now, back to my little brush. There's, all along here there's rocks and lumpy bits. I'm going to start with the brown and the red and the blue. Here I want some more river. some little corners out. Use the flat one again. Very dark. The thing that you really need to remember is you can't have light without shade in a painting. It's the shadows that make the light sing. Now, what I'm going to do here is just take out a little stripe. Now this is fiddling, but I've left that too dark. So all I've done there is dampen the paint, and I'm just using a damp brush to suck some of it out. Where I put that dark in, I'm going to take out some little slivers of light. It's very easy to overdo this. My heart is actually in my mouth at the moment, because you can do so much damage. Right, okay, just a few more rocks in the foreground and we're done. too much water there. Suck that out. Put it in again when it's dry. That tree is a bit dead. Right, let that dry, and I'll put some colour back into it. The problem with Payne's Grey is if you use it too much or use too much of it, it does tend to kill stuff. And I put too much in the mix there, so that came out very, very dead. Right, do is thin wash of burnt umber into that green colour. Now at least the tree has a little bit of shape to it now. Okay. just faffing now. Somebody make me stop. That I've ruined it with. Just right. Now all that's left is the canopy over there. Green, blue, a bit of brown. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Just move that to one side, move that to one side. Take tape off if you tape your paper all the way around. Just notice that was still shiny enough to do that with. If you're going to take tape off, always pull it away from the picture. That way, pardon me, if it does take off the top surface, it won't take off the picture, it will just take off paint from the white bit. Take off paper from the white. There you go. So there we go, a little bit of thing round it. Clywedog Gorge, Backlit or something of that ilk. Just notice there, what I'll do, where's my little brush there? While I've got that light bit, which I didn't really notice, alizarin crimson into that bluey green colour. A sort of shadowy mix, and Well, I've got that. Yeah, that breaks that up quite nicely. Okay, there we go. I am going to stop faffing now. See what it looks like when it's all together. I'm quite chuffed that I've done a watercolour. I haven't had to put it in the bin, that bit's. See, I'm faffing. Somebody stop me. It looked like a dead branch, as does that one. There. Now I'm going to stop faffing with it. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, give us a like and a subscribe, and please leave comments underneath. It gets quite lonely when you put stuff on YouTube and people just ignore it. So I will always respond to comments. So yeah, please do it. So that's another one done.